What's going on, YouTube? So we're back to another Sanqui run after a good old vanilla Gen 1 run. And I thought, why not kick off the month of October with a ghost Pokemon? Not just a ghost Pokemon, a ghost and dark type Pokemon. Spiritomb prior to Gen 6 had no weaknesses, just like Sableye. And looking at its stats, while we have great attack and special, along with defense, our HP and speed are lacking. Another problem that Spiritomb has in this run is its starting move pool. We start with Shadow Sneak, which is essentially Ghost type Quick Attack, and Confuse Ray. And I'll point out later why this is a problem. And I'm sure you're thinking right now, well, at least Brock won't be a problem because you're Ghost type and his Pokemon can't hit you. Well, you're partially right. Geodude cannot hit me. However, Onix can. Remember, in the Sanqui ROM, Onix has Rock Throw, and Onix also has Bide, which bypasses type immunity. Speaking of Brock, I do head straight there. I did battle all of the bug catchers in Viridian Forest just for the extra experience. And Geodude really isn't a problem because it can't hit us, even though we don't do much damage to it. It's just a few turns to knock it out. And against Onix, just use Confuse Ray so that it hopefully hits itself when it uses Bide. And just like Geodude, it goes down rather quickly. And I get by Brock in only 12 minutes in-game time. Not bad. But remember how I said that Spiritomb would have a problem coming up? Yeah, this is it. It's normal Pokemon. Shadow Sneak can't hit them, so we have to rely on Confuse Ray, getting great confusion luck with the opponent hitting itself, and just hope for the best. Thankfully, the Rattata in this battle cooperates. But coming up, we have the Rocket and Mount Moon with the Rattata, we have Rival 2 with a Pidgeotto and Rattata, and we have the trainers on Nugget Bridge that like to use Rattatas and Pidgeys. So Spiritomb is going to have its work cut out for it. We can pick it up in Mount Moon though, where we take the superior fossil in the Dome fossil. And then we can go ahead and get our post Mount Moon timestamp. 29 minutes. So we have to decide Rival 2 or Misty, and since Rival 2 has a Pidgeotto and Rattata that we have to deal with, I decide to go to Misty's gym, train up against her trainers there, and battle her. And you might be thinking, how can you hit Starmie with a ghost move because it's part psychic type? Remember, this ROM fixes that. So against Misty, my strategy is to confuse Staryu, put it to sleep, and hope for the best. It does outspeed me, which isn't a shocker, and it hits me with another water gun as I miss Hypnosis. I do get some luck as it hits itself and I put it to sleep, and Shadow Sneak, even with an X defend, is just a 3-hit KO on it. But now the real problem comes out, which is Starmie. It outspeeds, Water Gun brings me to 9 HP, it doesn't hit itself in Confusion, and Hydro Pump knocks me out. I try again immediately, and this time I want to put Staryu to sleep instead of confusing it. I accidentally use Shadow Sneak first turn just mashing A, it hits me with Water Gun, doesn't do too much. We do put it to sleep after Misty uses an X defend, and despite the X defend, it's still only 3 hits to knock out Staryu. But the true challenge is Starmie, because if it crits, it'll probably one-shot us. I go for Shadow Sneak since it has priority, that does well over half. And since Misty uses an X defend, it's just 2 hits to take it down. But the real battle is coming up, against Rival 2, who leads with Pidgeotto, and has a Rattata. And remember, Shadow Sneak can't hit either of them. And even if Spiritomb could learn Bide, which I didn't try, only Rattata has moves that can hit Spiritomb in the form of Bite, which is a dark type move in this ROM. And I'm going to speed up the battle against the Rival here and give you a little bit of spoilers. I don't even make it past the Pidgeotto. You see, Confuse Ray only has 10 PP, and since Pidgeotto does have Sand Attack, which it does use, Confuse Ray can miss, which it does. Pidgeotto also never really hits itself. It hits itself a few times, but not enough for us to move on. And I have to reset because I really don't want to drain the rest of my PP to get to Struggle, which I actually am going to try the Struggle strats next. I can drain my PP against wild Pokemon in this patch of grass to the side of Cerulean, but there's a slight problem with the Struggle strats, and that's Spiritomb's HP stat. Remember, it's base 50, and you take half of the damage dealt in recoil. It takes around 10 minutes in-game time to drain my PP, which I don't save before battling the rival again because I have a feeling that this strategy's not going to work very well. I come into the battle with 1 Hypnosis in hopes Pidgeotto won't spam Sand Attack. Thankfully it hits and it went for Whirlwind the first turn. Struggle looks like a 4-hit KO, and Pidgeotto's cooperating, it's staying asleep. It does wake up, it doesn't go for Sand Attack, but when we knock it out, I'm left with 19 HP. Abra can't attack us, which is nice, and we one-shot it, but I have 2 HP left for Rattata, who could use Bite, but it doesn't. Struggle does over half, but the recoil knocks me out. So we need to come up with a new plan. So it's back to hoping for good Confuse Ray luck, and I'm not going to give the play-by-play against Pidgeotto because the battle takes forever. But the strategy is to confuse Pidgeotto, use Shadow Sneak on turns it's still confused, hope you don't get hit by Sand Attack, which I do get hit by Sand Attack, only 1 though, and hope for the best. And after what seems like a 3-minute battle, Pidgeotto hits itself 6 times in confusion to knock itself out. Abra, there's not much to say. Once we finally hit a Shadow Sneak, we knock this thing out, and then it's on to the next problem, Rattata. And it's the same strategy as with Pidgeotto. Confuse it, use Shadow Sneak while it's confused, and hope that it hits itself in confusion. Thankfully, since Rattata has weaker defense than Pidgeotto, it knocks itself out over 4 turns instead of 6. Last is Charmander. I go for Shadow Sneak. It does just under half as it hits me with Growl, but it follows up with Dragon Rage. And I'm down to 5 HP. Confuse Ray misses as it hits me with Smokescreen. Thankfully the next one hits, and it does hit itself. Hypnosis misses. I decide let's just go for Shadow Sneak, and it gets the knockout. Rival 2, a Nail Biter. Don't remember the last time that happened, but things are about to get much easier for Spiritomb. I saved my game immediately after beating the rival and healing up at the Pokemon Center, because trainers on Nugget Bridge have Pidgeys and Rattatas, but I discovered something when battling them. At level 19, we learn Dream Eater. So I reset my game, popped a rare candy like you saw here, and now we can have an easier time going through Nugget Bridge, and we have an answer for those Pokemon that Shadow Sneak can't hit. Although I'm not the biggest fan of Dream Eater, it's a 100 base power move, and it recovers HP for us, which we do have a poor HP stat. And I think I'll take this time to plug in a fellow YouTuber. Originally, I named my rival Necro, because Spiritomb is a ghost, and Necro is short for Necromancer. But I'm gonna go ahead and shout out Necromantic Water. They are currently doing a playthrough of Pokemon Grand Coliseum on their channel. I'll leave an info card here, and I want to mention something in the run real quick. While it's nice that we have another attacking move in Dream Eater, it sucks that it requires Hypnosis to not only land, but Spiritomb to hopefully outspeed the opponent so that it can hit first. Which might be a problem later on considering its base speed. We can go ahead and pick it up in the SSN, where unfortunately we're going to be skipping Body Slam this week. Looking at Spiritomb's moveset in later generations, its move pool kinda sucks. However, there is a move that I see when looking at its moveset in later generations and hoping that it can learn it in this ROM because, well, I've seen other Pokemon use it. We do have another rival battle, and this one won't be quite the slog as the last one. While we don't outspeed Pidgeotto, Hypnosis does hit. Dream Eater is a 2-shot, it stays asleep, so that's good, it cooperates. Raticate follows, and once again, we need to put it to sleep. Bite doesn't do much, and we miss our first Hypnosis. The second Bite doesn't do much, we put it to sleep, and we're able to heal back all the damage it dealt. Don't quite one-shot it, but it does cooperate. We knock it out. Kadabra It still has frail defense, Shadow Sneak is super effective and will one-shot it. But last is Charmeleon, who still knows Dragon Rage. It goes for Ember not doing a lot, I put it to sleep, it stays asleep, Dream Eater heals me up, and we can just go for Shadow Sneak to finish it off. And I'm going to go back to a previous statement I made. I shouldn't say that Spiritomb's moveset and move pool sucks. Just for Gen 1 purposes, it's not that great. Especially what we have in this ROM. We can go ahead and say Bon Voyage to the SS Anne and Bonjour to Lieutenant Surge. And it's a shame that Spiritomb can't learn Thunderbolt, otherwise I'd be excited for this battle. Shadow Sneak does over half to Voltorb, Surge just uses an X speed and we knock it out the next turn. Pikachu, it's the same thing. Shadow Sneak almost KOs it, X speed, and we knock it out the next turn. And now it's on to Raichu. It hits me with Thunderbolt, doing nearly half. I miss Hypnosis, Surge uses an X speed and I hit Hypnosis. Dream Eater hits as it stays asleep and I recover health. I go for Shadow Sneak, that looks like it's doing more, and I just go for Shadow Sneak to get the win. And up next we've got Rock Tunnel. And you might be thinking, maybe the self-destructing hiker will be a problem because his Pokemon can use Rock Throw. But it's actually the mandatory trainer after him. The junior trainer with a Meowth, Oddish, and Pidgey. And I shouldn't say that she's difficult because I won on my first try. But I could see her presenting problems if I didn't have enough PP or if I just got absurdly bad luck. And I'm hoping that as I make my way into the mid-game, Spiritomb is going to be able to get access to some better moves. And hopefully, some that can take advantage of both of its Ghost and Dark typing. We can go ahead and get our post-Rock Tunnel timestamp of 1 hour 25 minutes in-game time. So overall, not bad. But I don't see us getting a top time, maybe not even a top 10. I'm gonna make my way straight to Celadon, because there is a new move that Spiritomb can learn. All I have to do is buy a freshwater, and then I can make my way to Saffron, where I can visit Mr. Psychic and get TM29 Psychic. I decide to head to the game corner first because there are some high money items along with a rare candy and PP up I can get, and take on Giovanni. And I actually got paralyzed from the rocket outside of his chamber, which is unfortunate. He leads with Onyx, and Onyx hits me with Rock Tomb, which was a move I forgot it had. I'm paralyzed and it hits me again. Psychic doesn't knock it out, but I do have Shadow Sneak for priority. We take it out. Rhyhorn is next. Because my speed is lowered twice, it does outspeed and hits me with Rock Blast. Thankfully it only hits twice. Psychic is able to one-shot it. Kangaskhan is last. Bite does half of my remaining HP. I'm fully paralyzed. Psychic does a quarter, and Bite knocks me out. So I've lost to Giovanni. And I didn't lose just once. I lost multiple times. There is a Hyper Potion that you can get by taking a staircase outside of his chambers, so you can at least heal up. But I really didn't want to dig out of the game corner to heal my paralysis at the Pokemon Center and just lose more game time. Can we get the luck that we need against Giovanni in this battle? Let's find out. Well, Onyx leads with Rock Throw as opposed to Rock Tomb. Psychic doesn't one-shot it, but I'm fully paralyzed when I go for Shadow Sneak and get hit by Rock Tomb. Thankfully, we knock it out the next turn. We level up going into Rhyhorn. Giovanni uses a Guard Spec. Psychic is able to one-shot it. We've made it back to Kangaskhan, who's the real problem. It hits me with 2 bites as I miss my first Hypnosis, but thankfully the second one hits. And from there, it's Psychic, we get a special drop, another Psychic, and a third Psychic to take it out. So Giovanni, who's usually not a problem, gave Spiritomb some trouble when I didn't expect him to. But now that he's defeated, we can go ahead and make some progress and take on Erica. And I did train up against every trainer in her gym. It's easy experience with Psychic on our moveset. And as for Erica herself, yeah, she wasn't a problem. Psychic is super effective against 2 of her 3 Pokemon. And while Victreebel does decent damage thanks to its auto-crit Razor Leaf, Psychic one-shots it. Tangela is her bulkiest Pokemon, and I confuse it and then just go for Shadow Sneak. It does a tiny bit of damage with Mega Drain, but not enough to be alarming. Last is Vileplume, which we outspeed, and Psychic one-shots it. Erica easier than Giovanni. Never thought I'd ever say that. One trainer that will continue to be easy is Rival 4, especially since we have an even better moveset from when we faced Rival 2 and Rival 3. He leads with Pidgeotto, it just goes for Whirlwind, I go for Psychic, it's a one-shot. We level up, going into Execute, we have Shadow Sneak still, and that too is a one-shot. Gyarados is next, it does some damage with Bite, I go for Psychic, does over half, Bite doesn't do much, another Psychic knocks it out. Kadabra's next, and this is great because Alakazam will be no problem once it evolves, we knock it out in one shot. Charmeleon goes for Dragon Rage, I go for Psychic, and we have Shadow Sneak to get priority and finish it off. And one thing I had to think about was, should I train up in Pokemon Tower, because it's easy experience having both Shadow Sneak and Psychic on our moveset. In the end, the Ghastlies don't give much experience, so I decided to skip it. One place I did decide to train though after Pokemon Tower was the Fighting Dojo. No Pokemon in here can really do anything to Spiritomb, and Shadow Sneak and Psychic are more than enough to take care of every single trainer and their Pokemon in here. After training up in the Fighting Dojo, I'm at level 38, and I decide it's time to go to Silph Co. Unfortunately, Spiritomb cannot learn Earthquake, so we won't be making that trip to the 10th floor first. We're just going to be going straight to floor 5, battling the one Rocket for the key card, and then heading to Rival 5. And I wasn't sure how this first battle was going to go. Pidgeot is the lead, it can't do much to us. I start by confusing it, it's just going for Quick Attack. I switch to Psychic, I get a special drop, it hits itself, we're able to knock it out rather quickly. We level up going into the Execute, I go for Shadow Sneak, it doesn't one-shot it and it paralyzes me with Stun Spore. It can't do much to me either and we still get priority with Shadow Sneak. Gyarados, however, Shadow Sneak isn't doing much, and even though Bite isn't very effective, it's doing quite a bit of damage. I switched to Psychic, and it would have been 2 Psychics to knock it out, however I thought Shadow Sneak could get the better range and it didn't. Alakazam, Shadow Sneak one-shots it, we've made it to Charizard, Shadow Sneak doesn't do a lot, and Dragon Rage knocks me out. And I tried a few more times. I would just reset if I got paralyzed by Execute after a while, and I could make it to Charizard consistently, but just couldn't win. I decided to gain that one extra level before trying again. As we've seen with Pidgeot, there's nothing it can do to us. Psychic gets a lucky special drop once again, and it's just 2 Psychics to knock it out. Against Execute, I put it to sleep with Hypnosis so I don't get paralyzed, and Shadow Sneak gives me the favorable range to knock it out. We level up going into Gyarados. It goes for Bite. I decide to confuse it. It hits itself, that's good. I miss Hypnosis. It hits itself again. I just go for Psychic. And Shadow Sneak gets the range to knock it out. Alakazam, we know that this thing is a one-hit with Shadow Sneak. It's on to Charizard. And Charizard does outspeed us. It goes for Wing Attack. Does decent damage. We put it to sleep. Good. Psychic, we get a special drop. Another Psychic, another special drop, it's still asleep, and it's knocked out. And I definitely thought Spiritomb was going to have an easy time in Kanto, but so far it's proving otherwise. That base 35 speed is really coming back to bite us, along with that base 50 HP. I mean, our attack and defense are great, we can deal damage and somewhat take it, but it's just not performing to what I thought it would be thus far. One trainer that it will perform well against though is Giovanni. He leads with Nidorino, and we have Psychic on our moveset. Giovanni uses a guard spec, but Psychic, crit didn't even matter, one shot. Kangaskhan, however, Hypnosis, we put it to sleep, Psychic, special drop, Psychic, KO'd. Alright, Rhyhorn's next, Psychic should one shot, it doesn't, it hits me with Rock Blast, which I forgot it has in the Sanqui ROMs. Shadow Sneak finishes it off though. All that's left is Nidoqueen, and it's just one Psychic to finish it. With Giovanni out of the way, you know there's one thing left to do in Saffron. It's to take on Sabrina. But of course, I've got to visit the 10th floor to get that rare candy before we do so. And I expect Sabrina to be a pushover because of our typing. But of course, we'll have to deal with Sanqui Venomoth and its Sleep Powder and changed movesets. Kadabra is the lead. I go for Shadow Sneak. We one-shot it. Perfect. Mr. Mime is next. I expect it to be a one-shot as well, and it is. But now comes Venomoth. I don't go for Shadow Sneak, and it puts me to sleep with Sleep Powder, and it's just slowly chipping away at my HP. When I do finally wake up, I decide to test Shadow Sneak's damage, and it does decent. It's probably going to be a 3-hit KO, but we just can't outlast Venomoth and we lose. I did try a few more times but had no luck, so I decided to level up against the trainers in Sabrina's gym because, well, we do have a type advantage. And as you see, Kadabra and Mr. Mime are still one-shots with Shadow Sneak, but it's on to the annoying Venomoth. Shadow Sneak looks like a 3-hit KO, thankfully it goes for Gust, and our second Shadow Sneak crits to knock it out. We level up going into Alakazam, and it's just one Shadow Sneak to get us the Marsh badge. And we're 20 minutes into this video, and we still even haven't faced Koga yet. This is going to be a long one, I imagine, as I'm voicing this over. I think it's time we head to Cycling Road to do just that. And with the remaining gym leaders, I don't expect any of them to give me a problem except for maybe Blaine, because his Pokemon can trap me in Fire Spin thanks to our 30 base speed. Anyway, let's go ahead and take on Koga, and this battle isn't challenging at all. His team is a clean one-shot sweep with Psychic, although Weezing is the only mon that gets an attack off and it uses Toxic. We can make our way through the Safari Zone to pick up the remaining HMs of the run, along with some key vitamins. But even I know if I maxed out the amount of Carbos that Spiritomb could take, I still wouldn't be able to outspeed Blaine's Pokemon. But we can go ahead and head towards Cinnabar Island. We're in the home stretch of this one, which I've actually been working on this voiceover for probably about 2 weeks now. And it's only because of life, among other things. I've been working on trying to code my own ROMs as well, because I'd really like to bring Regieleki and Regidrago to you guys. But let's go ahead and try our luck with Blaine. He leads with Growlithe, which doesn't know Fire Spin. Shadow Sneak does over half, he heals up with a Super Potion, I miss Hypnosis and get crit by Crunch. Thankfully I put it to sleep, Shadow Sneak is able to crit and knock it out. But here comes Ponyta, which outspeeds me and traps me in Fire Spin. I don't get a chance to attack, and I lose. I tried again one more time and made it to Rapidash, but had no luck. So I decide to use Rare Candies, and at level 49, we can learn Dark Pulse. Finally, a move to take advantage of our Dark typing to get that stab damage. I use Rare Candies, taking us up to level 55 before trying again. This time, I go for Shadow Sneak right away on Growlithe, I don't want it to hit me. Critical hit one shot. Perfect. Next is Ponyta, I go for Shadow Sneak again, and another critical hit one shot. Rapidash comes out, I go for Shadow Sneak, it's doing half. Blaine uses a Super Potion, I go for Shadow Sneak again. We don't get a critical hit, Fire Blast hits me and doesn't do much. Shadow Sneak knocks it out, and we've made it to Arcanine for the first time. It outspeeds and hits me with Bite, it doesn't do a lot. I'm going for Psychic, trying to get special drops. Blaine uses a Super Potion, another Psychic. I switch to Dark Pulse as he uses another Super Potion, that's doing a lot more. Bite crits, but we're able to knock it out with our next Dark Pulse to get us the Volcano badge. And it's been a long journey for Spiritomb to get all 8 badges, but we're almost at the end. And let's go ahead and head to Giovanni's gym. We're making great time. We're at 3 hours 4 minutes right before the battle. As for Giovanni himself, he's not really a problem. Psychic is a one-shot on Rhyhorn. Next is Dugtrio, it does hit me with Night Slash, Psychic is a one-shot on it. We level up going into Nidoqueen, and once again, Psychic is a one-shot, Nidoking, the same story, Psychic one-shot, and Rhydon does withstand a Psychic and retaliates with Rock Blast, but it doesn't hit enough to knock us out, and we get the final gym badge. But now we have to deal with Rival 6. And Rival 5 was a pain. I expect Rival 6 to be even worse, but let's just get into the battle. He leads with Pidgeot. I'm going to go for Dark Pulse. It does outspeed but uses Roost. Dark Pulse nearly gets a one-shot. I go for Shadow Sneak, forgetting that it can't affect Pidgeot as it recovers HP with Roost and then hits me with Wing Attack. Thankfully, Dark Pulse knocks it out. Rhyhorn is next. Just like Giovanni's Rhyhorn, Psychic is enough to one-shot it. We level up, and next is Execute. I misclick going for Psychic. Thankfully it misses Sleep Powder. Shadow Sneak is able to finish it off, and next we have Gyarados. It outspeeds and hits me with Dragon Rage. I can only take 4 of those at full HP. Psychic gets a massive crit and special drop, Shadow Sneak is able to get the range and finish it off. Next is Alakazam. It goes down to 1 Shadow Sneak, but next we have Charizard. And it ends all hopes I have of winning this battle by getting a critical hit Flamethrower to knock me out. I tried a few more times, but just kept getting to Charizard only to lose. So I got an idea. I'm close to leveling. I fly to Fuchsia, where there are some bird keepers right outside from where the exit or entrance of Cycling Road is. There's one trainer with a Dodrio, and then another with Spearows and Fearows. I battle them, along with making a pit stop at the Celadon department store to buy 1 Carbos, 5 Calciums, and 2 Proteins, and I think the extra vitamins will help out with Rival 6. Once again, he leads with Pidgeot. I go for Psychic as it uses Roost turn 1. I should have just went for Dark Pulse. It hits me with a weak wing attack as we knock it out with Psychic. Rhyhorn and Execute both go down to Psychic and Shadow Sneak, so we can just move ahead to Gyarados. Gyarados does hit me with a Dragon Rage, but I land Hypnosis to put it to sleep, and from there it's just 2 Dark Pulses to take it out. Out comes Alakazam. We've seen this thing go down to Shadow Sneak throughout the playthrough. It's no different story here. Charizard is last. It goes for Flamethrower, which we tank. Hypnosis hits, and just like Gyarados, it's 2 Dark Pulses for us to knock it out and get the win, finally. 26 minutes in, we're on to the league, and let's talk about them. I don't see Lorelei being a problem. Dewgong and Lapras might be the most problematic Pokemon on her team. Bruno and Agatha will be a joke, even with the Hitmons getting a slight buff to their special in the Sanqui ROMs. As for Agatha's Ghost, thank God that Ghost moves are physical, and her Pokemon have frail defense. But Lance could be tough. There's his Gyarados, which we still have the Champion's Gyarados to deal with as well. And of course, we can't forget about Sanqui Aerodactyl, or the Champion's Charizard. I did pick up the extra rare candy in Victory Road, along with battling a few of the optional trainers before getting to Indigo Plateau. 3 hours 26 minutes outside of Lorelei's chamber. Can Spiritomb beat the league on its first attempt? Let's find out. Lorelei's first, she leads with Dewgong, Psychic does maybe a third, Aurora Beam doesn't do much, we finish it off with Dark Pulse. Next is Cloyster. I go for Psychic. It doesn't one-shot, it goes for Hydro Pump, which I didn't know it knew in these ROMs. Psychic is able to finish it. Slowbro is next. I go for Shadow Sneak. I could have gone for Dark Pulse, but we get the critical hit one-shot, which is nice. Jinx is next, and it has frail defense. Shadow Sneak is able to one-shot it, and all that's left is Lapras. I go for Dark Pulse. Does less than half maybe. Blizzard misses. Another Dark Pulse. I get hit with Hydro Pump. But we have Shadow Sneak to finish it off. The first league member down. And next up is Bruno, which we're part Ghost type, we have a Psychic type move. Other than Hitmonchan hitting us with Ice Punch, this one is a one-shot sweep with Psychic. I feel like it's been a while since I've been able to just speed by Bruno's battles. But next we have Agatha, and if I'm not speeding by the battle, then you know it's gotta be interesting in some way. She leads with her first Gengar, which outspeeds and hits me with Dark Pulse. It manages to flinch me, so I switch to Shadow Sneak, and we get the one-shot. Don't think the crit mattered. We level up going into Golbat, which hits me with Air Slash and also flinches me. Thankfully it goes for Swift next turn, which can't hit me, and Psychic is able to one-shot it. Against Haunter, I'm going to go for Shadow Sneak, and it's a one-shot. Now, will we outspeed Arbok? The answer, no. It hits me with Crunch, it gets a defense drop, which badge boosts me. Psychic is able to one-shot it. Onto her last Gengar, I go for Shadow Sneak, and we do get the one-shot. So Agatha was a bit of a nail-biter. But next we have Lance, where we have to deal with a Gyarados. And 2 Dragonairs that know Thunder Wave, but really can't hit us. And of course, Sanqui Aerodactyl, that knows Iron Head, and Crunch. I don't know how this battle's gonna go, but there's only one way to find out. He leads with Gyarados and it hits me with Dragon Rage. I managed to put it to sleep with Hypnosis, and it's just 2 Dark Pulses to take it out, and now it's on to the troublesome Dragonairs. The first one comes out, I go for Dark Pulse, I get a lucky flinch, and then I follow it up with Shadow Sneak to finish it off. Against the second one, I go for Dark Pulse, I don't get lucky with a flinch, and it hits me with Thunder Wave. Shadow Sneak is able to knock it out, but here's Aerodactyl. It hits me with Crunch, I'm paralyzed, Crunch again. Shadow Sneak finally hits, maybe does a quarter, and Crunch finishes me off. I did make it back to Lance on my very next attempt, but I didn't fare much better. While I did make it to Aerodactyl with more HP, and was able to get past it, Dragonite finished me off. And this is where I made the decision that I was just going to keep the levels that I gained from going through the league the first time. I'm going to rebuy my full restores and save. And once again, we've made it back to Lance, and I'm hoping the extra levels give us more favorable ranges. The battle starts in our favor by Gyarados missing Hydro Pump and us hitting Hypnosis. From there, it's 2 Dark Pulses to take it out, and once again, it's onto the problematic Dragonairs. Against the first one, I go for Dark Pulse. We don't get the range, Lance uses a Hyper Potion. I go for Dark Pulse again. Still don't get that range, but we flinch it. Shadow Sneak is able to finish it. Dragonair number 2 comes out, I go for Dark Pulse, we get the more favorable range one-shotting it. Next is Aerodactyl. It hits me with Crunch, and I put it to sleep with Hypnosis. From there, I test damage with Dark Pulse, that did a lot. It wakes up, and Psychic is able to finish it. We level up going into Dragonite, we've got plenty of HP, it goes for Dragon Rage, I put it to sleep with Hypnosis, and it's just Dark Pulse and Dark Pulse to finish it off. Over 30 minutes into this video, and we're just now making it to the champion. Spiritomb, let's clutch this one out, because I really want to get started on the next run for you guys. All of the runs this month are going to be really great, but on to the champion battle. Pidgeot's the lead. Mirror Move fails because it outspeeds us. Dark Pulse nearly finishes it. It Mirror Moves Dark Pulse, doesn't do much to me. I go for Psychic to finish it off. Next is Alakazam. Shadow Sneak hits it, one-shotting it. By the way, the animation of those moves, pretty cool. Rhydon's next. I go for Psychic. It's not enough to finish it. It goes for Rock Blast. Only hits 3 turns. 5 turns or even a critical hit would have been really bad. We can go for Psychic to finish it off. That's half the team down. Next is Exeggutor. We do outspeed it. I go for Dark Pulse. Please one-shot, and it does. Crit might have mattered. We level up going into Gyarados, which outspeeds and hits me with Hydro Pump. I'm down to 39 HP, I miss Hypnosis, and Dragon Rage is enough to finish me off. And I was at a loss for words at this point. A Pokemon I thought would mow through Kanto or at least get a sub 330 time is struggling. But you know, we made it back to the champion on our next attempt. Once again, he leads with Pidgeot. It goes for Sky Attack right away. I go for Psychic. I should have went for Dark Pulse, but I got a lucky crit, so that's 1 down. Alakazam, we know that this thing has fallen to Shadow Sneak all run. Nothing's changed. Rhydon, this time I'm going to go for Hypnosis. I put it to sleep. It stays asleep. I go for Psychic. We get a special drop, which is nice. I go for Shadow Sneak thinking I'll get the range, but I don't. It's still asleep, and another Shadow Sneak finishes it off. Next is Exeggutor. I go for Dark Pulse, and the crit didn't matter, it's a one-shot, and we're on to Gyarados. After leveling up to a nice number, Gyarados hits me with Dragon Rage. I go for Hypnosis, it hits, and it wakes up right away. Thankfully, Dark Pulse does some big damage thanks to a crit, and Shadow Sneak can finish it off. Last is Charizard. It outspeeds me and hits me with Fire Blast right away, burning me as I miss Hypnosis. It then hits Wing Attack as I hit Hypnosis. I need some luck here because I'm now on a timer. It stays asleep, that's good. I go for Psychic hoping for a special drop. I don't get it. Burn damage, stays asleep, Psychic, still no special drop, burn damage, wakes up, but Psychic finishes it off. And we get by with 7 HP. When I record these voiceovers, I have a lot of audio bits that I, edit up and re-record. And this one by far has the most I've ever done, over 130 of them. But Spiritomb's run is finished and in the books. And it's a great way to kick off the month of October. But that's enough rambling from me. Let's see what Spiritomb's final in-game time was, and where it ranks on the tier list. It finishes at a nice level 69, with a final in-game time of 3 hours and 47 minutes. For the 14 Sanqui runs that we have done, I'm going to place it at the bottom of the B tier. right below Regirock, and ahead of the likes of Hitmontop. And here's a whole tier list that we haven't seen in a while. I haven't posted one like this, probably since, I feel like, the Darkrai or Arceus video. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. We've got some fun runs planned for the month of October. I'm going to enjoy them. I hope you do as well. The next Mon will probably surprise a lot of you. I'm gonna get started on that video right away. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.